Welcome back to the show, Southern Oregon Safaris, and where the buffalo roam. Today, Jerry, we are going to discuss apes, great apes, primates.
Great apes, great apes. All right, I'll be right back then.
Be right back.
Welcome back to Southern Oregon Safari.
And where the buffalo roam.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Hayden.
And Hayden wants to talk to us about great apes.
Great apes.
Another creator you used to work with.
That's actually how my career kind of launched.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I was, as a kid, my family ranched, and when I was a very young man, we basically got into llamas and alpacas. I think we discussed this before. We were the second largest llama breeder in the nation for many years, for about 15 years consecutively. But I was very much into animals from the time I was 4 years old. I told people I'd be a veterinarian one day. Couldn't get the grades in school. I was always thinking I was Dr. Dolittle and walking up to honeybees and petting them and making them pets and stuff like that. But I was in every program, association, club that had the word animal in it. I continued to work in a vet clinic as kind of just a helper. I was not certified as I wasn't certified at all, but I was definitely a help to some of the doctors that my family was friends with. My father had made friends with a couple of the major vet clinics in our area that worked on our llamas and alpacas, and I kind of was taken under the wing by some of these doctors, these veterinarians, and I spent a great deal of time with them. And so I was working at a vet clinic. I wound up going into a regional occupational program for animal care because I wanted all that knowledge while I was working at the vet clinic. But in came my class one day. Some people, a family, husband and wife team, brought in some chimpanzees into my classroom.
Ooh.
And I think I was all about 14 or 15 years old. And it turns out that they had worked in the film industry.
Okay.
And that's how my career launched, basically. I was young, but I found out that these people were living very close to where I lived. I mean, like within almost walking distance.
Did they have the chimp that was in Bedtime for Bonzo with Ronald Reagan?
No.
BJ and the Bear?
No, but I know who those people. I know the people that own those chimps. But
Okay.
this husband and wife team, their whole life was chimpanzees. They had, I'm trying to remember, at one point I think they had about 13 or 14 chimpanzees. They had families that were generational families that lived together, and they had all the babies. They never got rid of their chimps. They would keep all the generations.
Oh.
And so I found out that they lived real close to me, and so I started riding my bike over there. Again, I was all of 15 years old. But, they were used to people constantly coming going, oh, I want to work with chimpanzees. Well, chimpanzees happen to be, it's a great ape. They're actually very dangerous animals. They don't usually like kids. They're very territorial. They're very domineering. Everything's about battle and sexuality and food and, territory. So they're very possessive over their things. And so young people and chimpanzees don't really mix. And really chimps are, again, pretty tough creatures. They're constantly in battle. They're constantly fighting. They're constantly injuring each other. They're very powerful. They're 5 times stronger than a man and 7 times more coordinated. So the point was that they said, yeah, you're too young. This is not for you. It's a dirty job. You're not going to like this, because that's what they got used to telling everybody, because they were constantly having people go, oh my gosh, they just take this cute little fuzzy chimp, because we see on television these cute little chimps. They seem like they're just these cute little fuzzy creatures. Well, they don't realize that chimps actually get 150 pounds and 4 foot tall, and they're 150 pounds of solid muscle mass, and again 5 times stronger than a man, 7 times more coordinated. They could bite your arm off and beat you with it. And so they kept trying to discourage me, and I kept showing up at their house, and I cleaned their garage, and I washed their windows and cleaned their rain gutters and did all these things. And one day, after they'd run me off for about the 30th time, and I become friendly with them, and they were very nice to me, but they kept saying, we got work to do, and this is not a safe place for you at your age. But I kept showing up. I was just enthralled with both the chimpanzees, the animals themselves, and the film industry. Just was so exciting to me. Well, I welded from high school. From the time I got into high school, I've been welding. It was one of my other things that I was really good at and very fond of doing. But one day when I was over there, I heard them say, oh, one of the chimps had busted one of their latches for their door, and they needed to call a welder. Well, of course, it was a Sunday. And I said, well, I weld. And they're like, oh, well, why didn't you say so? I'm like, well, you didn't ask. and so they're like, well, do you have a welder? I'm like, I happen to have a welder. So I hauled my little portable welder over there, and I welded the latch. And not long after that, I wound up helping build some cages and do some other welding, and I became as handy as I possibly could for them. And they started loosening up and going, you're sure your parents? They wound up speaking to my parents. They said, look, this is dangerous. We don't want to be sued. Our insurance doesn't cover such a young person around these animals. My parents, especially my mom, she supported me, and she's like, yeah, it's fine. So I became very close to them, very good friends. We're still good friends after all these years. And they started asking me, so you're really serious about this? You stuck it out. I've been cleaning, scraping poop for chimpanzee poop, which is a dirty job, and not very many people like doing it. It's not very pretty. But I started scraping poop, especially in the young chimps barn. And I started getting to hang out with the young chimps a little bit. And they had some babies at one point, and so the wife had asked me, she says, hey, do you think your mom would allow you to raise a baby chimp in your house? Because we won't just let them go to anybody, but we now trust you enough and know your family well enough. And do you think your mother would go for that? And I said, well, absolutely. I'm pretty sure she would. So I asked my mother, and she said, of course, I would love to do that. So we raised a little baby male chimp named Eddie.
That's my little brother's name, and my little brother's nickname is Edo Gorilla.
Edo Gorilla. Well, this was little Eddie, and he was the cutest, little fuzziest little monster, and he was always trouble, but he was adorable. And we started bottle feeding him as a youngster, and so this went on. And soon after that, I don't even think I was 16 yet. They asked me if I wanted to go to Canada to shoot a Tourister commercial with them for the summer. And so I asked my parents, and they said, well, as long as you got your homework done and you get your good grades, you can go for the summer and work with them.
What province in Canada did you go to?
We were in Vancouver.
Oh, just over the border.
Yeah, just over the border. So we wound up going to Vancouver for a month and a half, I think, with all the prep work and all that, and we shot this commercial, and that was my first experience. I think I just turned 16, maybe.
Brutal cab drivers, careless doormen, ruthless porters, savage baggage masters, and all butter-fingered luggage handlers all over the world. Have we got a suitcase for you?
Working in the film industry. And in between that, I'd been working a circuit. We did a fair circuit with the chimps. We did educationals and that type of stuff. So that's how the chimpanzee thing started. It's kind of how my whole career launched. But anyway, worked many chimps, had some amazing experience. Worked on a movie with a chimp named Riley, a big male, on a movie called Lawnmower Man.
I
Pierce
remember
Brosnan
that movie.
and Jeff Fahey. Yeah, we did that.
Well, you've worked with everybody.
Yeah. I worked on Summer of the Monkeys, which was another film. I don't think there's any big names there. We shot that in Canada as well. Did quite a few big films. Then I started working with some orangutans. Worked with a couple big ones. One was a orangutan named Chucky. He was a beast of an orangutan. I worked with him for many years. And then I actually wound up working with some other orangutans, Patrick and Brandy. But yeah, that's my great ape experience. Very interesting animals, really amazing, super smart, very difficult to handle. You got to really be on your toes. They're not play toys. Everybody thinks they're just and they are cute as a button when they're babies, but that doesn't last very long, and they become very large and very powerful and very serious animals. But some really exciting times and some great memories.
So that's your first critter hands-on to be able to get into show business
I'd say,
with?
and film work. Yeah, that was my first experience. I'd worked around an elephant a little bit before, just through a friend before that. But yeah, I mean, having the llamas and alpacas, my parents knew some people that had an elephant. One guy that had an elephant that he kept at a zoo, and I made friends with him, and I went and got to see the elephant a few times with him when I was a young man. But also we knew some people that had a camel ranch and an ostrich ranch. So I had a little bit of these other exotics, but it was nothing like my experience with the primates, the chimps, and then moving that into my career, which I've stuck out with ever since I was 15. So that'd be 40 years for me.
Well, thank you, Hayden, for the memories. That's awesome.
Yeah, interesting stories.
Stay tuned to more stories
Exactly. Hopefully not too boring for you.
No.
We love the comments. Ask us questions so can get a good idea what you guys are yearning for, what our next show might be about. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Yep. Give us a thumbs up. We'll see you guys in our next tale.
Next adventure.
Tall, short, long, whatever tale we're going to come up with. And it may be attached to a critter.
Exactly.
We'll see you guys later. I'm Jerry.
I'm Hayden.
And this is Southern Oregon Safari.
We're the Buffalo Roam.
Bye-bye.
See ya.